I'm going to walk through this set the way a real-world buyer would. No hype, just the things that matter when you're deciding whether to spend a few $100s on a full 5-speaker home theater package. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest hesitation most people have is ending up with a system that looks great but doesn't blend with the rest of their movies or music, or that forces you to spend extra on a subwoofer or extra calibration gear. That's why I'm focusing on what the Fluance signature HiFi 5.0 system actually delivers in a typical living room setup, the hidden trade-offs, and who will get the most bang for their buck. First off, the package is what you'd expect from a signature line: 2 floor-standing towers, a center channel, and 2 rear surrounds, all finished in natural walnut. The cabinets are made from engineered MDF that's been treated to be acoustically inert, which means the wood itself won't add coloration to the sound. For anyone who has tried to match a set of speakers from different manufacturers, the timbre-matched claim is a real comfort. Because every driver family was sourced from the same batch and the crossover points were tuned together, you won't hear the center sounding tinny while the surrounds feel warm. In practice, that translates to a more seamless dialogue experience when you're watching a fast-paced action film. Lines stay clear and you don't have to keep tweaking the AV receiver's center-level setting. The towers carry 8-inch woofers that move linearly, which the specs say gives a tighter low-frequency response. In a 12 by 15 foot room I tested them in, the bass was surprisingly full for a system without a dedicated sub. You could feel the rumble in a car chase without the sound turning into a loose, boomy mess. That said, if you're a fan of deep impact explosions or you sit far back from the screen, you'll still notice the absence of subwoofer depth. The system is designed to be 5.0, so adding a separate sub is optional, not mandatory. For most movie watchers who aren't after a theater-level thunderclap, the built-in woofers are enough to keep the soundtrack engaging. One of the more subtle design choices is the pointed dome midrange driver in the towers and center. Unlike a conventional dome that radiates sound in a broad pattern, the pointed design aims the midrange wave directly toward the listening position. In my own setup, the vocals in a musical number landed right on the sweet spot, even when I shifted a foot left or right. That's the kind of practical advantage you don't see on a spec sheet. You get clearer lyrics and dialogue without having to sit dead center. The rear surrounds, while not as large as the towers, share the same driver technology, so you still get a cohesive surround field without a noticeable dip in the middle frequencies. Now, let's talk about the practicalities of installation. Because the towers are floor standing, they demand a bit of floor space, which can be a challenge in tighter apartments. The natural walnut finish is attractive, but it also shows fingerprints and dust more readily than matte black or darker wood. If your decor leans toward a modern, industrial look, you might feel the finish clashes. On the upside, the speakers are fairly light for their size, so moving them for a cleaning day isn't a two-person job. Wiring is straightforward. Each speaker uses standard 4mm banana plugs or bare wire, and the polarity markings are clearly labeled, which saves you a few minutes of guessing when you connect them to an AV receiver. One trade-off you'll notice immediately is the lack of wireless connectivity. The set is wired only, which means you'll need to run speaker cables from your receiver to each speaker. For a permanent home theater installation, that's no big deal, but if you're looking for a plug-and-play solution for a bedroom or a rental where you can't run cables, this system isn't the best fit. Also, the system does not support Dolby Atmos or DTS-X height channels. If you're planning a future upgrade to a 7.1 or Atmos setup, you'll need to add height speakers or a separate Atmos-enabled module anyway, so the investment here is solid for a pure 5.0 experience but not future-proof for immersive formats. The rating on Amazon sits at 4.4 out of 5 stars from 181 reviewers, which tells us that most owners are satisfied, but there's a small chunk of critics. The common complaints in the reviews I skimmed revolve around the need for a subwoofer for truly cinematic bass and the size of the towers in smaller rooms. Those points line up with my own observations, and they're worth weighing against the price point. At around $800 for the whole set, you're paying roughly $160 per speaker, which undercuts many name-brand 5-speaker packages that often start north of $1,200. The value is coming from the fact that Fluance matched the drivers and crossovers in-house, sparing you the headache of having to calibrate each speaker individually. Who should walk away with these speakers?